So this is Tim and Sue. Welcome to Adventures in the Reader Family. Now remember, we're still amateurs at this, so we've got to learn as we go. This is going to make it interesting. And we were going to sit on this nice little marble bench back here, but guess what? Marble does not absorb water, so it's still wet. Anyways, hope you enjoy this. Please remember, we're amateurs and we're just getting started. Thanks. Okay, upon our entry into Lithia Park, I happen to notice one weird thing over here. Notice we have a silent disco. It proves that people can be quiet about the wrong things. That seems to be a gift we have. They're loud about other things that they shouldn't be, and quiet when they go to dance, which is odd. But I'm still not shocked. Let's go ahead and enter Lithia Park sign. Okay, so interesting fact about Lithia Park. It was actually founded in 1892, but it wasn't Lithia Park back then. It was Chautauqua. It was started by a Reverend J.B. Smith, who was a pastor. His pastor was Reverend J.B. Smith, who was a pastor at the Methodist Episcopalian Church in Grants Pass. And he got a group of 45 people together, and they started the Chautauqua Association. And he bought a parcel of land for $2,500, which is actually where the Shakespearean Theater is. It's not down here. It's actually up there. That's where the Chautauqua Park started. And the first building, which is no longer here, it was a huge dome. I have pictures of it. I'll be able to show them to you, I hope. And it was a huge dome that they built in 5 days. They had that many volunteers. It was crazy. And it was set up as a venue for entertainment, much as like the Shakespearean Theater is now. The whole idea was they wanted to have people come over and entertain us, but the entertainers wanted to be warm and comfortable. I guess they were prima donnas back in that day too. So they commissioned it, they bought it, and it was up there. And then the tidings, Ashland Tidings. It wasn't Daily Tidings back then. It was Tidings. Was a big pusher of Lithia Park. They financed a lot of stuff. They had a lot of money back then because they didn't have TV or radio or anything. They were the source of news. And so, as we're going through the park, we're running into a lot of people, which is why we're standing still. But in 1903, they actually got a gardener. His name was J.K. Van Sant. Him and his wife petitioned, got money to actually make the gardens more beautiful. And so, at that point, that was phase 1 of Lithia Park, which was Chautauqua Park back then. And in the 1911, things really started to take off. Because what they did is the Tidings got together with various scientists. And they tested the water, Lithia water. And really quick, the Ashland Mill bench here, I have pictures of the Ashland Mill. It really was right here. It didn't look anything like it does now. But anyway, so they tested Lithia water, and they found it was safe to drink, and they found that it had purely medicinal purposes. So they put together and got a grant from Ashland for $175,000. And in that grant for that, $110,000 was strictly for piping to get the water piped down here from the Lithia Springs. And the other $65,000 they used to beautify the area. And then in the May 11th of the same year, good old 1911, 2 people, makes it sound like they were a couple, G. Butler and D. Perosi, got together and donated a large parcel of land, which is the park now. And they were the first ones to bring up the idea of a Lithia Park, and that was the first mention of it in 1911. But in 1914, they built the road coming through here. The one that we see that follows the park all the way up. And she's showing you some of the
Road.
the beautiful part. And in 1915, they made this a roadside place for people who were driving through, because auto camping became a big thing back then. And they made this a park for auto campers, and they actually named it Lithia Park in 1915 at that point. And it kind of stayed that way. And then they just started doing improvements on it, all kinds of stuff. The duck pond was actually built way back in 1911. So it's been here a little while. The first duck pond. The second one, we'll get to that when we get up there. But then they started doing improvements on the park. And they just kept on going from that point on. 1914, I told you they built the roads. 1938, they built the Rose Garden, which is still up there by the tennis courts. And in 1953, they built the playground. And they got a huge boost in that later on. And so all this part here that we're in right now, that you're seeing, is part of the original Lithia Auto Park, where they used to park and have tents. I have pictures of that too for us to see. There is a lot of traffic here, so we try to keep the people out of it as much as we can. But signs like this, the Japanese Stewardship, however that's said, they actually used to have these as part of the setup. They had fuchsias, they had everything planted out here, and they just go along as part of the trail. And that was all started by Mr. Van Sant and his wife back in 1903. And they just kind of kept it going, and kind of kept that tradition alive. So, anyways, as we walked up to the playground, which was built in, like I said, it was built in the 50s. It was a post-war park. They, during the 40s, everything kind of slowed down and stopped because of the World War. Then it continued. So this is the beautiful park. This is the bottom half. We're only doing 1/3 of it right now because we'd run out of time. People would get bored and they'd give up too fast if we made them too long. You want to go? There's a nice little marble bench up here. We'll go show you.
It's my favorite bench in the whole park.
It's because it's big old thick marble.
Maybe it's not wet and we can sit on it.
No, it's still wet.
It's still wet.
The problem with marble is it doesn't absorb water.
Yeah, that's a problem. There we go. Don't know any history behind it.
Nope.
Just as a
Oh, it does have it didn't have a plaque on it that said something?
really cool little bench.
Well, it's a nice little bench. That's all I can say right now. So, welcome to Ashland. They have nice little benches here. It's the only one of marble. So they've actually modified a Japanese garden. It's just been probably, what, the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got video of that, and we'll put more video of it now that we're getting all this camera stuff figured out. But you're pointing at the trail too much.
I'm trying.
Okay. So as we do this, I'll just show you everything. And the fact about people being on the camera, when you're actually out in a public place, you don't really have a expectation of privacy. They don't allow that. So if they get filmed for a second, they get filmed for a second. It's not against the law. It's not against any rules. They got a reasonable expectation of privacy, but not that they would consider being on the camera for a few seconds not reasonable for them to expect the privacy. So we'll just zoom around, show people, do what we do. This is some nice little landscape here. Oh, look at this. Here's something that it did not show in my research. Wading pool area donated by Harry Harrison, 1959. Okay, so the park was here about 6 years before the wading pool. Here's the bridge. Let's see when the bridge was built. Here's the wading pool area that was donated. And it's nice. They put a concrete bottom in it so it can't sink too deep. They have control of the depth that way. And it's relatively big. And down here at the end, even the rocks, just before the water drops off, that's all concrete and rock, big old rocks put together, river rocks. To make it look more interesting, I guess. And Amazon's doing its job. Even at the park. I guess they do deliveries at the park. So.
I love the little bridge going under the...
Okay. This is the Atkinson Memorial Bridge. And it says that it was done... Oh, my camera just messed up. Look at that. 1912. So... There's that.
There's the playground.
Yep, there's the playground. So, morning. So, back when I was in the 70s when I was a kid, that dates me. They had a little thing here that looked like a big old wooden barrel with both ends cut off, turned sideways, and you could spin in it. And they got rid of it probably about 15 years ago, I'm guessing.
You put that interesting rock
And they put,
sculpture there.
well, that's a rock climbing thing right there. But
Very small.
it's not the same. You can't take your friends and tumble dry them like you could back in the old days. And then here's what I always like to say. Here's a Tesla trash can. Looks like the Tesla truck quite a bit. There's various trails as we can zoom in and see all through Lithia Park.
Seems like the playground is the hub for everybody right now.
Yep. So,
Lots of people here.
yep. Bathrooms. And park. And I'm going to pause till we get past the park. Just take a look at a quick picture. Okay. Playground time is over. No, I didn't ride anything. I know someone's going to ask that. I didn't climb the spider web. I didn't do push-ups or pull-ups. I know some of my friends are going to harass me about that. See, one of the fun things they do is they take the broken trees that fall and then they turn them into bark chips. And then they put them on the trail. That's what they did here. Fall colors are starting to come in. Oh, something to show you really quick. These things right here, I can zoom in on them. They are not grapes. Do not try to eat these. They are poisonous. There you go. Now the runner had time to get past us. And down here, you'll see, of course, the creek, the beautiful creek, and the occasional squirrel, duck, all kinds of little birds, big birds. And there's another plaque over here. It'll tell us all about Ashland Creek. Hope you guys read that. Pause it if you didn't. And then here is an inlet. And I have no idea what this, I know it adds water, but I have no idea where it comes from. And it goes straight out to the creek, which is still, like I said, a very nice creek. And look, somebody right there decided to put, what they're called, cans.
There's a whole bunch of them.
And they just went crazy all over it out here. There's another one. Somebody was bored. Well, if I was a kid, I'd get rocks and try to throw at them and knock them down. Oh, PD. Hey. This is one of our friendly signs. You know, always look out for poison oak. That's one of my big things. That just ruins my day when I get that. And with me, poison oak's a lot like having the man flu, so it'd ruin my wife's day too, pretty well.
Oh. Learn something new every day.
I get tired of scratching. You're just going to have to scratch for me.
Oh. Scratch over the ditches.
Mainly forearms and stuff like that. Then it spreads and gets ugly. A really nice new bench. They've actually rebuilt this one. Looks like they replaced the wood on it and repainted it.
There's a plaque on it.
So up here, we're going to cross the bridge, and there is the Butler Perozzi Fountain. Now, I have to do a little research on that because I was trying to find out more about it, and they show pictures of it over in France. So I don't know if this is a copy of it or if it's the original fountain and got moved here. But they said, you know, the pictures and research said the Butler Perozzi Fountain in Italy. Sorry, it wasn't France, it was Italy. They're a little bit different. The creek. The leaves kind of block the view.
Identified in your practice, you know, if you couldn't, but like.
This here is the only gazebo we can find that we're looking for. There's an original photo in the tidings. I think it was called Daily Tidings by that time, about a gazebo, and it showed a picture of it, and there were no mountains behind it, and there was no trees or anything. It just looked like a big old flat area. So we're trying to see if this is actually it. And I don't think it was. Here is where the Lithia water runs off. Look at all those minerals just changing the color. Isn't that awesome? That's medicinal minerals, apparently, according to what the tidings found out.
I don't think I want to try it.
I used to drink it when I was a kid.
No, I don't think so.
Probably stunted my growth, but I used to drink it as a kid. It can't stunt your growth now, you might as well try it.
No thanks.
And then there's that way out right to the parking area, which is all new, by the way. It wasn't there a while ago. And new to me means like I was here in the 70s and some of the early 80s, so it has changed since then. And that means new to me. Some of you guys weren't even born back then, so it would be old to you. Okay, we're gonna go up to the Butler Perosi Fountain, the one I was talking about. And like I said, I'm curious to if it was actually once in Italy and then came here. And if so, why was the Butler Perosi family over in Italy first and got, I don't understand that either. They might have just, got really successful over in Italy and came here to enjoy their riches, I guess.
For retirement.
Yeah, for retirement. I wouldn't mind retiring rich. That'd be great.
Good. Squishy ground. Beauty.
So, oh man, there's a lot of traffic all of a sudden. I see a lot of those Chevys recently. Okay, we're going to go to the fountain, like I said. And let's see if we can find out anything. Which, by the way, the donation thing was all the way up to the top. They just raised the goal. It was $700,000. I have video proving that. So, anytime it gets full, they just raised the goal. Sculpted in Florence, Italy by Antonio Frilli.
So it's sculpted there and brought here.
Yeah, so they probably set it up to show. And then, like I said, so Perosi and Butler were two prominent Ashland businessmen and civic leaders. I never got the name of the people, just D and G, so I thought maybe it was a couple. But apparently they were buddies. So now we know.
On July 4th of the following year, the Butler Perosi Fountain was installed in
Yep.
the newly created park.
Okay, last time we were here, we found some deer.
Yep.
We didn't find them, we just walked upon them. They weren't like, it's not like they were lost.
Doesn't seem like there's any today, but
No,
you
there's
never know.
too many people, I think.
And it says not to get in the fountain, so we can't go swimming. Sorry.
Oh, that's pretty deep. I'd probably drown. And I know how to swim.
I thought I might
So there
have
it
to
is.
sit on the top rung there, but it's supposed to keep it.
So my question is, I'm trying to get a good angle of this fountain. I think that's a duck. And my camera freaked out again. Why is the duck upside down? Why is he holding it like that? Is he like choking it till water comes out? What's the deal with that? I guess I'm not an art person, so I wouldn't know. Anyhow. Okay, so here's the fountain, and I'll give you the view. And I think I'll continue the rest of it on a different date. So have a good day, and we will catch you on the next one.